The world is a dangerous place, and there are a lot of dangerous and creepy people in it. But thanks to the justice system of society, some of these dangerous people are brought behind bars to keep them from causing more harm to society. But there is just so much the justice system can do. Some people just don't learn their lessons even after being imprisoned, and oftentimes they make prison life miserable for their fellow inmates. Some of these prisoners even continue their criminal acts after being imprisoned. They are the scariest and most dangerous humans in the history of humankind. In today's video, we'll be sharing with you the top 10 most dangerous inmates in the world. So sit back but be on your toes. You're about to enter the danger zone. Number 10. Thomas Silverstein. He was born on the 4th of February 1952, died on the 11th of May 2019, and spent the last 42 years of his life behind bars. But even that could not deter him from going about his criminal activities. After being imprisoned for armed robbery, Thomas was so dangerous that he was later convicted of 4 separate murders. He was finally put in solitary confinement after he killed corrections officer Merle Klutz at the Marion Penitentiary in Illinois. This was where he spent the remaining 36 years of his prison life before his death. The cell that held him for all those years was a specially designed cell called Range 13, which is located at ADX Florence Federal Penitentiary in Colorado. The prison authorities described Thomas as a brutal killer. He was also a former leader of the Aryan Brotherhood prison gang, which happens to be the oldest and most notorious prison gang in the United States. Till the time of his death, many of the prison officers refused to talk to him out of respect for the officer he killed. He died from complications during heart surgery. He is dead now, and the world is free of one dangerous man. Number 9. Dennis Rader. He is also known as the BTK Killer or the BTK Strangler. For context, BTK means bind 'em, torture 'em, and kill 'em. And as the phrase implies, he did just that to all his victims. Dennis Rader is one of America's most dangerous serial killers and prison inmates. He killed 10 people in Wichita and Park City, Kansas between 1974 and 1991. All the while sending taunting letters that described the details of all his killings. He was really begging for attention. Catch me if you can. After 14 years, the notorious serial killer came out of his hiatus and resumed sending letters in 2014, which led to his arrest in 2015. He's presently in solitary confinement serving 10 consecutive life sentences at the El Dorado Correctional Facility under the close watch of law. Number 8. Aileen Wuornos. Aileen Wuornos was an American serial killer who brought shivers down people's spines, both in the outside world and in prison. She was born on the 29th of February 1956 and died on the 9th of October 2002. She was a street prostitute who killed and robbed 7 of her clients within 12 months, believing that her actions were justified since she claimed the clients either raped her or attempted to rape her. Even while in prison, she was dangerous and feared by a lot of the inmates. When she was placed on death row, she made appeals that were rejected. In a petition that was placed to the Florida Supreme Court, she stated her decision to terminate all her pending appeals in a letter. She wrote, "I killed those men, robbed them as cold as ice, and I'll do it again. There's no chance in keeping me alive or anything because I'd kill again." She went on to say she had hate crawling through her system, and she was as sane as anyone can be. She admitted that she hates human life and would kill as long as she has the chance to. That is scary. Anyway, she was executed in 2002 by lethal injection, and the world is less scary. Number 7. Rodney Alcala. Rodney Alcala, also known as the dating game killer, was a sex offender and a serial killer who was convicted for the murder of 5 people between the years 1977 and 1979. He was given an additional sentence of 25 years to life imprisonment after admitting to 2 homicides that happened in New York between 1971 and 1977. This man was so notorious that even till he was old, he kept being convicted of old murder cases that were just being uncovered. Alcala got a thrilling experience from taking pictures of his victims, who were mostly attractive young women, after murdering them and putting them in distorted postures. Although he'd been convicted of 5 murders, it's said that he had killed over 130 women before his arrest. He was sentenced to death, but later died of unspecified natural causes. Number 6. John Wayne Gacy. If you've watched the Hollywood blockbuster It, then you may have an idea of who John Wayne Gacy is. The movie was based on him. If you're wondering who he was in the movie, I'll tell you. He was Pennywise, the scary clown that disturbed children. In real life, he was nicknamed Pennywise. Gacy started his career as a clown, and he entertained children. He also raised money for charity with his clown job. He was even nicknamed Pogo the Clown. That seemed to be a noble cause, except that John was in fact a rapist and a torturer. He was a dangerous man. In his lifetime, he'd killed 33 boys, most of which were teenagers. He spent most of his time in prison, secluded from other prisoners. He was sentenced to death and was executed with a lethal injection in 1994. Number 5. The Nithari Killers. This team of master and servant, Moninder Singh Pandey being the master and Surinder Kohli being the servant, are worse than you can imagine. The duo was responsible for the murder of 16 children. Back in 2005, the Nithari murders came to light after the discovery of 8 skeletal remains of children in the drain of a house in Nithari, Noida. The duo was accused of different crimes ranging from pedophilia to organ trafficking, and were both convicted to death. Number 4. Mary Mallon. The story of Mary Mallon is quite a common one. She was popularly called Typhoid Mary, and she got her nickname because she infected people with her sickness. Mary was a cook who had typhoid back in 1915. She was asymptomatic, and it was believed that her cooking led to the infection of more than 100 people and 3 deaths. She was arrested and kept in solitary confinement at Riverside Hospital on North Brother Island, where she died from a stroke in 1932. Number 3. J. Junior Sigler. J. Junior Sigler was a dangerous inmate who wanted to escape jail terms at all costs, and weirdly enough, he got help from outside. The 20-year-old prisoner planned an escape from the prison after serving 8 years in prison. He was charged with an armed robbery at Everglades Correctional Institution. His plan was to escape prison, and he got help from his mother and a couple of his friends. His friends rammed a truck into the prison wall, which gave him enough time to escape. On getting out, he exchanged cars with his friends, but in the process of getting away from the police that was chasing him, his car slammed into an oncoming vehicle, which resulted in his death. What could have been a real-life prison break ended badly. Number 2. The Red Ripper. Andrei Romanovich Chikatilo was a Soviet serial killer that was a terror to everyone. He was nicknamed the Red Ripper, and he sexually assaulted, mutilated, and murdered more than 52 women and children in his lifetime. When he was arrested, he confessed to having killed a total of 56 people, but was tried for 53 murders. He was later acquitted in 1993 based on claims of insufficient evidence. However, early in 1994, he was executed by gunshot. Number 1. The Eyeball Man. Jason Barnum, popularly called the Eyeball Man, was sentenced for shooting an officer. Although it didn't cost any lives, the look of the Eyeball Man will make your skin crawl with fear. After pleading guilty to the attempted murder of an officer, third-degree felony in possession of a weapon, and first-degree burglary, he was sentenced to 22 years imprisonment with the possibility of parole. Now to the reason behind his nickname. A part of Jason's face is covered in tattoos. There is also a tattoo of a skull right in the middle of his head, and the white part of one of his eyeballs was darkened by the tattoo. While in court, he admitted that he was not the most pleasant of people to deal with, and that's what makes him dangerous. We've come to the end of this video. Comment what you think of these dangerous inmates. Which of them is most dangerous? Let us know in the comment section below.